Okay, third grade, this is chapter 21 test, which is an open book, so you're going to want to make sure you have your math book open up to chapter 21, as well as you're going to want to have a highlighter, because remember, when we go through tests, we highlight key information. Okay, so starting us off, number one, what solid figure has a shape like a box of cereal? So right there, I'm going to highlight box of cereal, thinking, what does a box of cereal look like? So I have a rectangular prism, a cylinder, a sphere, or a cone. So I'm going to go to page 424, and I'm going to take a look. Which one looks like a box of cereal? And there's actually even a picture just like a box of cereal right there. So that should give you your answer to number one. Number two, how many edges does a rectangular prism have? Edges. Now, if we go back to page 424, remember edges is the line segment formed when two faces meet. Okay, so you have an edge here, an edge here, an edge here, an edge here. So we have a rectangular prism. Okay, we have to think how many edges are there. Okay, so if you start, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Each of my fingers is on one of the edges, right? But then I also have this edge, this edge, this edge, and this edge. Okay, so count how many edges are going to be on a rectangular prism. Do you have 6, 8, 12, or 14? Number 3, I am a solid figure. I look like a bowling ball. Ooh, that sounds like a lot of fun, huh? To go bowling. What figure am I? Remember, a bowling ball has to be able to roll. Is it a cube, a sphere, a cylinder, or a cone? So go back to page 424. This is your best friend, this page right here. Has all the solid figures there for you. Which one would be like a bowling ball that's going to be able to roll down the lane to hopefully get a strike? Number 4, which best describes the faces of a cube? Are they pentagons, circles, triangles, or squares? Remember, a cube, which is right here. Okay, talking about the faces. What are all these faces? What do they all look like? Pentagons, circles, triangles, or squares? Okay, so number 5. What solid figure has 5 faces, 8 edges, and 5 vertices? Cube, square, pyramid, sphere, or rectangular prism? Now, I know right away one it cannot be. Which figure does not have faces, edges, or vertices? Cube, square, pyramid, sphere, or rectangular prism? Which one of these does not have any faces, edges, or vertices? One for sure I'm going to cross off right away is the sphere, right? So I'm going to go back through and I'm going to cross off C. I know for a fact it can't be C because a sphere doesn't have one, right? Okay, so I'm going to cross that off. I know it cannot be C. So then I'm down to 3 choices: cube, square, pyramid, and rectangular prism. Now remember, a cube and a rectangular prism are pretty much the same except their faces are different shapes. So, but I'd go through and count how many faces and how many edges and how many vertices a cube, square, pyramid, and rectangular prism have. Number 6, which solid figures are used to make up the object? Well, I see 2, right? I see this, we have one on the bottom, right? That does have 2 circular faces. And then this one on the top has 1 circular face and comes to 1 vertice. So going back here, it says cone, 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 or cylinder and sphere. Oh, wait a minute. Isn't a sphere like a the globe, right? The Earth. So I know for a fact I don't see one of those. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get rid of J. Now I'm down to 3 choices. It says cone, cone, cone. Well, that top one is a cone. So what's this bottom one? Is it a cylinder? Is it a sphere? Or is it a square pyramid? And remember, you can always go back to page 424. Remember I said that's going to be your best friend. It has all the solid figures right there for you. Okay, now look at number 7. Same thing. What solid figures are used to make the object? We have cone and cube, square pyramid and cone, sphere and cube, or cube and square pyramid. Well, once again, I can get rid of one of these because that shape is nowhere to be found. And that's going to be letter C, because do you see a sphere anywhere? Do you see a ball? A ball can't be on top of this, it'd fall off, right? So now I'm down to a cone and a cube, a square pyramid and a cone, a cube and a square pyramid. Remember, go back to page 424. Look at the pictures. Look at the definitions of what all these solid figures have. And then number 8, it's going to be the exact same thing. Again, we have 2 shapes, cube and cylinder, cube and rectangular prism, cube and sphere, cone and cube. Once again, I can get rid of one of them because I know for sure it is not with those shapes. And it's going to be H, because do you see a sphere anywhere? I don't. It would roll off of this, right? So what do we have? What 2 shapes do we have? Go back, your best friend, page 424, and take a look. Match the picture to the solid figure. Okay, for 9, 10, 11, and 12 on the back, we're going to talk about the same thing about tessellating. Okay, so let's go back to page 430 to quickly review what does tessellation mean, right? What is it? So, when plane figures combine to cover a surface without overlapping or leaving any space between them, those figures tessellate. The repeating pattern formed by the figures is called a tessellation. So you can see here, there's 3 figures, right? Square, hexagon, and a triangle. These 3 can tessellate. They don't overlap. There's no gaps. Then down here we found out a circle and a pentagon. They don't tessellate because they leave gaps here. So open up your books, page 430. So you can answer numbers 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now do not get confused. Number 9 says which one will not tessellate. So 3 of them will, 1 of them won't. And I'm looking here, and I think I've seen some of these pictures or some of these figures on page 430. Now number 10 says which one will tessellate. So you're looking to see which one will tessellate. Which one can I repeat a pattern over and over again where it's going to leave no gaps and no overlapping. Number 11 says which one will not tessellate. Which one of these is going to leave gaps and have overlaps? Remember, have your books open to page 430. Use that as a guide. And then number 12, once again, it says which figure will not tessellate. Okay, 430. I see a lot of those shapes are on page 430. Which ones do? Which ones don't? Okay, then we're going to go to number 13. How many line segments are needed to draw an octagon? Now here we're going to actually go back to page 390. So we need to think about an octagon, right? A plane figure, right? A polygon that's closed, right? And it's made up of line segments. So how many line segments are needed to make an octagon? I see triangles, quadrilaterals, pentagons, hexagons, and octagons. So I think you're going to find your answer right here. How many line segments are going to make up an octagon? Once again, that's on page 390. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at number 14, which says which figure can be drawn with 4 line segments? And you have a hexagon, a rectangle, a pyramid, or a cylinder. And remember, you can go back to that page 390 and take a look at the bottom of that page and thinking about, 4 line segments. When you put 4 line segments together, what kind of a shape are you going to put together? Maybe what are those shapes? What other names can be used for those shapes? Okay, number 15. How many angles does a pentagon have? So I'm going to go to page 390. I'm going to go to the bottom and I'm going to see if I can figure out how many angles does a pentagon have. And I see it right there in front of me with the pentagon. How many sides? How many angles? Remember, that's on page 390. And number 16, how many vertices does a parallelogram have? So I'm going to go to page 397 to kind of look at what's a parallelogram. Well, it's 2 pairs of parallel sides and 2 pairs of equal sides. So remember, a vertice is where they come together, right? So I'm going to take a look and go, 2 pairs of parallel sides and 2 pairs of equal sides. Well, I see a 4-sided figure, right? So how many vertices do you see? Okay, then we have 17 and 18. Which figure is the bottom view of a square pyramid? So right here I have a square pyramid, right? Lift that up. What do you see on the very bottom? A square, a triangle, a circle, or a rectangle. And you can also look on page 436 to get some ideas too. Now, which figure is the side view of a square pyramid? So here's my pyramid, right? Here was the bottom. Now when you just look at the side, what is it? What shape is that? A square, a circle, a triangle, or a rectangle? Okay, that's it for Chapter 21 test. You need to go back through and make sure you have an answer for numbers 1 through 18. If you need to, replay the video. If you have any questions, you're like, I'm not real sure how to answer that. Each of these questions I have written on the side of what page back in the chapter you should go find the answer.